Hello everyone. We've got Linzi Upton with us today for a chat. Hi, Linzi. Thank you so much for giving us your time on this nice weather day, and we're really excited to discover what you've been doing and your past projects as well. So, just maybe to start with, you could sort of maybe give us a bit more about you and how the love for quilting started, and your background really.
Okay, gosh. Well, I'm actually a primary school teacher. I trained in Bath and I lived in some really terrible student accommodation. So I suppose I was making things to brighten those flats up. And I'm really not very good at following instructions or dressmaking, so I always liked to make flat things. So quilts fits the bill, really.
Oh, okay. And did you? So we're actually based in Bath, which is obviously a coincidence.
Yeah.
So how long were you in Bath for?
I was there for 6 years as a student,
right.
and then as a probationary teacher.
Okay, so did you move to Scotland sort of quite soon after, or?
No, I went to Suffolk after that and then moved to Scotland in the year 2000.
Okay. And so how did it develop from the teaching to then making a career of textile?
Ooh, well, I had 3 small children, so I wasn't going out to teach in schools anymore. So I was making things for them and things for friends, and I don't know. I got a new sewing machine, and somehow I took a couple of lessons, having taught myself before badly. And then I discovered that you could do stand-up quilting, and that was just revolutionary, changed everything for me.
Oh, brilliant.
And it was quite early on, I suppose, when people still belonged to forums. And there was a forum that went with the quilting machine that I had. So it just got me contacts all over the world. And it just snowballed.
Oh, that's great. And so were you in kind of art anyway? Were you quite sort of
Not
crafty?
at all. No, I didn't take any art beyond the age of about 12 at school.
Oh, okay.
I can't draw.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing to discover this passion like that.
Well, I'm obviously a bit creative and I love fabric, but no, not arty.
Okay.
Or not conventionally so.
And I know, as we sort of chatted previously on email, you mentioned the travel was very important to you in your life, especially combined with textile. I know you've sort of taken a trip of a lifetime for a special birthday not too long ago to India.
Yeah.
And, I just wondered if you could take us there and sort of tell us about the highlights and how did you find India and especially in the textile,
it was an absolutely amazing trip. So I joined a tour that was already going of Americans, but I made my own way there, which was quite an adventure in itself, getting from Delhi airport in a tuk-tuk to the hotel. But the sights and sounds are unbelievable. You've got all these people teeming everywhere, going around their daily business, and then you've got really luxury hotels. It's just such a contrast. But the highlight for me, I think, would have been going to the textile village at Bagrou, where they are into the traditional block printing and indigo dyeing. That was just fascinating.
Okay.
So seeing all the great big lengths of cloth drying out in the sun, and then after they've been printed and dyed, they're just laid out on the grass, and then the cows and stuff just trundle over them, and it was fantastic.
And did you find the colours quite sort of exceptional as well? Were they sort of using so many different colours? And
it was lovely because most ladies wear saris. And they're just the most fabulous colours, so bright. It's just not stuff that we would wear here in Scotland at all. And so I was very lucky to be able to go and poke around in the bazaar in Jaipur and pick up dye and fabric, sequins and things to bring back. And then
and did you find maybe some hidden gems that you discovered maybe through locals?
Yeah, it was very important. We had a super guide who could take us to places that we probably wouldn't have discovered otherwise. But I also did a little bit of exploring on my own. So I went off to the bazaar to do some buying. I wanted to buy one of those metal lunch boxes, a tiffin tin. And I just found myself down a little alley and found some tailors just working away on their Singer sewing machines out on the street. It was fantastic.
Okay. And so you mentioned the Bagru was the highlight, but how did it compare with some of the other cities as well, or towns that you visited? Is there so specific sort of culture or aspects that really differed from each other?
Well, I suppose that Bagru is a little. It's not a village. It's like a small town, I suppose. But it's not as frenetic. There's not the traffic, so you can just wander about a little bit more freely and get up close to the artisans doing their work. So we had a little go with the block printing, which I do like. And
yeah,
of course,
so you took a little bit,
quick, and we were hopeless.
So you had a little workshop.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I had an opportunity to do a little bit of cantha stitching, which you would think would be really easy because it's essentially just a running stitch. But I think these women were rolling their eyes at us being so slow. But they had these great big 4-inch blunt needles. I honestly don't know how they do it. They're incredible.
And I know I've watched the Rio Marigold Hotel. Was that last week, and they had the tambour embroidery. I don't know if you watched it. So did you see some work as well of embroidery and?
Yeah, so all sorts of things, because we were visiting various textile warehouses, and one of them brought out some antique textiles which we could buy. So I just bought what was once the front piece of a dress, kind of an embroidered, and it was covered in rusty shisha mirrors and things. So that has been the inspiration for the piece that I'm working on now.
Okay. So you can definitely vow for the fact that people, our customers going on to our Indian tour to Bagru won't be disappointed.
No, it's just fantastic. So exciting.
That's great.
To be able to see things being made, and it really gave me an appreciation of where our fabric comes from and the work that's gone into it and the amount of water that's used. It really made
and all handmade.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so you mentioned that you managed to buy a few things, and you were very really inspired by the colors and the work there. So, and you're working on something at the moment. So did it change your style for a while, or for some projects you sort of really Indian theme?
I don't think I have one specific style. I do love machine quilting, so there's always that, but I don't like to get stuck on one color or one theme. So what I got into after I came back was screen printing.
Okay.
So I signed up for an evening class at the art college, and I just took a tiny motif that I'd seen on the museum wall, and they were of these tiny little funny, almost stick figures. They're called Wally figures. So I've been screen printing with them.
Okay.
And, I've done 2 quilts now. One's nearly finished. But so yeah, printing, just using many fabrics, lots and lots of different embellishments. We'll see. I'll probably get bored and move on to something else.
Well, I know you are very busy, and talking about moving on to some other projects. I know you had a big project at some point with the quilted yurt.
Oh, that's right.
Which is very kind of interesting, and quite a size project.
Well, yeah.
So can you tell us a bit about that? How did it come about? How did it start?
Oh, that's one of those projects that just slightly got out of control, I suppose. We've got a canvas yurt in the garden, and I was asked to do an exhibition at the Loch Lomond Quilt Show in 2010, 10 years ago. So I thought, rather than just having a random collection of quilts hanging around a room, I would display them around a yurt frame. So that was my plan. But of course, as usual, I didn't think how long it would take or how big it would actually be. So yeah, the whole thing just snowballed. And then I was appealing for some help from some of my international friends on the quilting forum that I belong to. So then people helped me. The story of it's all on my blog, but yeah, it was a project that just grew and grew and grew.
Yes, no, it is. I was reading it, and it was, so interesting, and how it sort of became such a international project.
Yeah, yeah.
With the community.
But it's not at all a practical project, because then I was trying to take it around the country for exhibitions, but it's not the most easy thing to transport and set up. So yeah,
I'm sure. And another sort of project, not sewing as such in some ways, is you've published a first book, or I think it is the first one.
yeah.
So how was that process? So it must obviously been quite different with just obviously getting on with the quilting and stitching.
Yeah, it took a long time, because I had originally wanted to write a book that told the story of the yurt, but publishers kept telling me that was too much of a niche thing, and they wanted something that was more project based. So, but then another people said, well, no, it really needs to be all about machine quilting, because that's your field of expertise. So it's a little bit of a mishmash between what I'm inspired by, my techniques, and some daft projects as well.
Okay. And did it sort of motivate you to do another one, or
No.
So the process was quite grueling.
Well, I thought it would be a really good idea to come out with an ebook, and because that was all very modern. But I think the truth is that most people like physical books.
Yes, yes.
So you have to print it all out, which kind of defeats the object of the format.
Mm.
But yeah, it was a lot of editing.
Yes.
You have to write it, you have to check that the instructions are all correct, and you have to take the photos, and they all have to be a certain size. So, having thought that the publisher was the one that did all that, no, the author does
Okay.
almost all of it.
Oh well, so at least we're lucky to have one out, and
Yeah, I think that's what you're going to get.
Your work. I know you mentioned you've been quite to a lot of places exhibiting. Is there sort of a favorite sort of show? Is there a favorite place?
Well, I've been to America quite a few times, because that's of course where quilting is the biggest in the world, I suppose. Mm-hmm. So I've been to Paducah, and I've been to Houston, which are amazing, huge shows. I really enjoy going to teach in Germany. I've been a few times to Coburg, because I have a Bernina colleague there. I've been to Alsace. That was quite a funny experience, because I was working with Bernina France. They didn't really speak any English. My French is terrible. So it was quite entertaining.
And how did you find, obviously, from the so Houston to Alsace, quite a different setup.
Yeah. I mean, Houston's one huge arena where it all is, and you have to go up and down the aisles in a logical order. But Alsace is lovely. It's set in all these little venues around little villages, and you get on the shuttle bus and trundle round, and there's all sorts of different things. Mm-hmm. It's lovely.
So is there sort of a show that you haven't been to that is on your list?
Oh, I haven't ever been to Tokyo. I'd love to do that one. Mm-hmm. I haven't been to the New Zealand Symposium. That would be a fabulous one to aim for one day.
Okay.
If we can travel again in the future, who knows?
Yes. And during this lockdown, how have you been? And obviously a different experience for us all. Have you been sort of busier in the sense of catching up on some quilts, or have you started new hobbies maybe?
No, it's funny because you check out Instagram and you panic that everybody else is running up 15 quilts, and you think, but all I did to make today was make a loaf of bread. And seriously, I have been adding the embellishments to the quilt that I'm working on, but really, I think people are just busy enough trying to manage the day to day.
Yeah, it's funny because I had this sort of same feeling at the beginning when it was regarding homeschooling.
Yeah.
Everybody were coming up with so many different links for websites to have in all different subjects and or things that were very interesting. But and I thought, oh yes, I have to kind of remember this one, and I have to remember this one. And at the end, we just haven't looked at any. We're just doing the things that are sent every morning by the school, and that's it.
I have a puppy as well.
Oh yes, I did see some really cute photos of the new member of the family.
That was an absolute blessing that we just suddenly decided to get this puppy just as lockdown happened. I'm so glad we did.
Yeah, so that is a bit of the new hobby in some ways. So so training him and
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
But no, I have not been super productive. I'm on a few pom-poms a day and a couple of bells, and that's about it.
Well, I think it was, in some ways it was the time to have a bit of relaxed time and not actually overdo it, because we overdo it always. So
well, it can be a bit of a treadmill. You can just be so busy and feel guilty that you're not being busy. So
yes, and especially with the nice weather, I think people have enjoyed gardening and yes, it's been quite a different experience, but I think we have to take that time to sit down.
My kids were saying to me, why can't you just sit and read a book for an hour?
Yeah, I know the feeling, but it's, and in some ways, it's kind of thinking of the next stage when lockdown finishes.
You kind of think, what's that going to be like?
Have you got sort of a new adventure on the horizon as travel or new projects?
I think we've just got to wait and see what happens.
Yes.
At the moment, I'm just going to finish this quilt, and I don't know. I really don't know. I think I'm just going to practice quilting and maybe try and make more use of all the gadgets that I have that I think, oh yeah, that'd be useful.
Well, that's that sounds great. And just as we kind of chatting about sort of projects, we in lockdown, we just launched a new our first virtual
that's exciting.
Quilt Fest, which is really exciting. So spread the word. Maybe we'll see some of your work.
Yes, I'm just deciding what to put on there.
Yes, we hopefully will see many different style and there'll be, I'm sure, a colourful gallery of photos. So we look forward to that. If obviously for people listening, we will put some photos of your work and travels on our website, but they can visit your website, which is the quiltqueen.com.
It's the Quilt Quine.
Oh, Quine. Sorry.
Sorry to correct you. It's a Northeast Scotland expression.
Oh, I thought it was just playing with words and the Queen spelled differently. And our website is ecttravel.com.
Yep.
So, Linzi, I'm so glad we managed to catch up when when you've got this kind of lockdown time, and I'm sure we'll maybe catch up again when it's all back to normal.
Absolutely, yeah.
And see how projects changed, and but I really enjoyed chatting to you.
Yeah, it's nice to speak to a real person.
Yes. And
person.
and if you've got any sort of new projects, just share it with us. That'd be great. And so I'll just